As I said earlier, we've entered a new season in the year, into fall now, but it only serves to remind us that our lives are full of seasons. And I know this latest issue of Maclean's magazine, Moira, that you have, it's entitled The Rethink Issue. It brings fresh insight into a new season of motherhood. Moira.
Okay, I thought the shape was the only surprise. But really when you actually open and go through this this week's issue, you'll find lots of surprises and lots of challenges to our perspectives on many issues, including the new modern family. About 30% of 20-something young adults are staying at home or coming back home. And, you know, the question is, how many of them are just loafing in the basement, playing video games in what would be termed psychologically a delayed transition? And how many are seeking safe, sane harbor while they save for a down payment on their home or something really meaningful? So, wow.
We're going to have a lot of conversation about that.
Motherhood.
And I mean, if I have to be honest, I was a little bit of delayed transition. Hi, Mom and Dad. Thank you for those good years. But why I say that is, you know, I mean, it was partly that I was trying to find myself and where I was going to go. And so I needed a safe place to hunker down and be supported until my dad was realizing that I also wasn't paying for things that most adults should be paying for and being responsible. So I finally...
You didn't have to pay rent?
No.
Oh, Melinda.
I didn't pay those things. So finally my mom and dad just sat me down and said, honey, it's time.
Yeah.
It's time for you to move out of the nest.
And this was when you were in your later 20s.
Oh,
yes.
Melinda.
Yeah.
Now, why are you saying, oh, Melinda? Wait, what's going on there, Denise? Were you out at 13?
I wanted to be. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm one of those people who believes that it's really good to have that independence and learn and, you know, live in crappy places and just have to go through that whole experience of how to budget and all. However, I will say that the new reality, and this is what this article talks about, is when you leave university or when there's so much of a debt load and there's all of these things. So, I mean, in our new economic reality, the reality you guys grew up in, it was, you know, you finish school, you probably get a decent job, you can get your own place. And that's just not the reality we live in anymore. And it's such a competitive market out there. And so I think a lot of people have to live at home. But I will say it is nice to have that safety to come back to.
I don't see anything wrong with, like you said, Moira, allowing that safe haven for the adult children to save up for a down payment or to kind of get their footing. However, and it's a big however, I think there has to be an exit plan. There has to be a plan that they work
exit strategy. I mean, you don't go into Afghanistan without an exit strategy.
But now every delayed, you know, son or daughter transition is going, uh-oh. My parents are watching, because I think there has to be a discussion about this, but it's hard. I mean, some parents want their kids to be there for a long time.
Well, it's a cold, old world right now. It's a disconnected, I know we got all the technology, but it's a much more dangerous and a harder world to be. They're finding this grade 12 launch is, a lot of kids aren't ready. They don't know what they want to be and do, and they're not mature. They haven't had the life skills. We're just not in as good a position.
Why don't they have the life skills?
I was just wondering.
Are we coddling our children? That's my point. Is like, a parent's job is to prepare their children to live in that cold, hard world. And so, you know,
so that they can be independent.
So they can be independent.
Giving them a false sense that this is life doesn't prepare them.
And I wonder how much of it is cultural as well, because the article also points out that in Italy, 85% of Italian men aged 18 to 34 still live with their parents.
Sorry, that just makes me
in
laugh.
Italy today,
well,
right
imagine
now,
yummy pasta, clothes ironed,
I know.
house clean.
In Italy,
I mean, let's be honest.
In Italy, they're proposing a law that would require an exit at 18.
Oh, that's going to shake things up.
Because 50%, when you factor in the girls, what do they call it? The bamboncino is the new law that they bye-bye at 18.
Okay, so they're proposing it. It's not there now.
So what's the balance then? Parents need to stop coddling and prepare their kids.
Well, or at least teach them this is what life costs. This is your real costs. Force them to set aside money. Force them to have a job so that they're not just having this unreal expectation of this is what my life is going to be like.
Well, and participate in the home, practically, financially, if they're able, while they're at home. They're not just getting a little free ride.
Yes.
Yeah, just because they turn 18 doesn't mean you stop parenting. You have to help them to be prepared, but then eventually you got to let go. I'm learning that right now myself.
Right, Ann?
Yeah,
I'm learning right now myself.